Oh, I really wanted to like this movie. I really, really did. All the elements are good. The cast. When I first heard who was going to play the Wolfman, I thought that's serendipitous. It's absolutely perfect. He hardly needs any makeup, Benicio Del Toro. He is the perfect Wolfman. Added into that, you have Anthony Hopkins in his almost typical elder gentleman advisor style Hannibal Lecter role. You have Hugo Weaving, just to put the cherry on the cake. And you have a modern adaptation of a very, very interesting classic Universal horror film. I like The Wolfman very much, just as I like most of the Universal monster movies. However, I've had the misfortune of following this project from its tortuous inception. Its extremely strained and painful development up to its eventual release. This film was originally going to be released in 2006, but it's been suffering in development hell since then. Directors have come and gone, the project has switched ethos, different studios have taken it up, and so on and so forth, and this cluttered, fragmented lack of focus really, really shows on screen. It doesn't know what it wants to be. There are moments when it feels like it wants to be a homage to classic Universal monster movies. There are times when it feels like what it wants to be is a psychodrama. There are times when it feels like it wants to be a modern mainstream slasher film, and it succeeds in none of them. It's so fragmented and so poorly put together that it feels like it was directed by someone who's just come off of directing MTV music videos. Scenes are truncated or don't fit where they currently are. Scenes that are supposed to establish character don't. There's a huge amount of dialogue. It's just exposition. It's just designed to tell the audience what's going on, even though it's painfully obvious what's happening from the very first instance. Let me put it this way. Benicio Del Toro is not the original Wolfman in this movie. There's another one who bites him, who turns him into the Wolfman. And if you don't know who the Wolfman is, which of the characters the Wolfman is from his very first appearance, then I despair of you, quite frankly. It's painfully, hideously obvious. It's so obvious that I thought they were going to pull a sort of double bluff at some point, and it was going to be someone else. They didn't. What's also clear is that the actors were painfully aware of the problems that the project was facing. Anthony Hopkins, who I love in almost everything, basically feels like he's given up in this movie. Like, he's like, oh, fuck it, I'll just give my performance and that'll be it. I'll say the lines and that'll be me done. Hopefully I'll get through the fucking thing alive. And that's it. That's all he does. Benicio Del Toro, who, again, fantastic actor. I love him in almost everything he's in. Doesn't seem to know what the hell he's doing. He sort of fumbles about with the role and mutters a bit, and sometimes the performance is too subdued in context with what happens in the rest of the film. Sometimes it's too overt. And as for the female character, who is so forgettable, I can't even remember her name, it's tacked on and unnecessary and completely stereotypical. It's so every element of this film is predictable. Every element. It's an appallingly bad piece of work. And those of you who have watched my 2012 review, one thing I will say about 2012 was that it was not incompetently directed. That's the thing. It's not an incompetent film. It does what it aspires to do quite adequately. It's just a shit film. The concept behind it is shit. The Wolfman is the opposite of that. It is an incompetent film. The direction is bad. The editing is bad. The story is bad. The acting is bad. the only character I felt even a moment of connection with was Hugo Weaving's Detective Inspector Aberline. Why? I mean, that's a reference to Sweeney Todd lore. Detective Aberline was the chief detective who was after... Oh, not Sweeney Todd. Jack the Ripper, sorry. Detective Inspector Aberline was the chief detective in the Jack the Ripper cases. So I don't know what they're trying to do there. It's some sort of like gothic reference, but it's just confusing and stupid. It doesn't make any real sense. No, this is a really shit film. Even like pivotal moments in a werewolf style film, like the pivotal moment is obviously the transformation. The transformation is what we were really there to see, but it's piss poor. It's obvious that at one point and I imagine this occurred when Frank Darabont was attached to direct, and I wish he'd actually stuck with the project, because I guarantee you it would have been wonderful then, because Frank Darabont is a great director. It was obvious that at one point they wanted the effects to be traditional, they wanted them to be latex, because there are moments of latex, conventional physical effects spliced in with really shit bottom of the barrel CGI effects. The effects in this movie look like they're from the 1990s. They look like early CG. The actual transformation of the werewolf is ruined by them. And there are also points where there are conventional animals made in CG. There's a point with a CG deer and a CG bear, and they look shocking. They look like cartoons. I hate it when filmmakers do that. Either use an animatronic, physical representation of the animal, or get the animal. Yeah. It's really quite frustrating, especially when the CG is this bad. It's the same thing that ruined I Am Legend for me, the bad CG. That's another film that has really nice elements. I mean, Will Smith is awesome in that movie, but the CG ruins it completely because it's unnecessary and it's bad. But no, this is a movie that drastically disappointed me. I was really looking forward to it, and I found myself halfway through thinking, you know what, this is taking too much effort to like. Far too much effort. It's a product of its tortured development. It could have been good. That's the worst thing about it. There are elements of this movie where you can just see, just breaking through the murk, those little bits of potential genius. But they're completely inundated by the interference, the crap, Thus far, this is the year's most disappointing movie for me.